Uh, do you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks like it's coming through nicely.
Okay. Well, first of all, before we kind of jump into the presentation, we got to do a quick disclaimer. It's going to be a heck of a show today, folks. Obviously, we want to really thank everybody for taking the time to come here and spend your time with us in the holiday season. You guys have made this year the best year the company's ever had. We've had the most amazing growth in our subscriber base, all attributed to you and you guys coming to these webinars and being able to see for yourselves this incredible technology that's out there and being completely underutilized by everybody else. And again, we just want to thank you. It means a lot to us, and we're going to keep pushing and making the technology better and better. And that's what the thing is you can never slow down. You have to keep innovating, and that's what we're here to do. So obviously, with all the thanks behind us and the holidays still in front of us, let's get to chasing alpha, making money. We're going to give you really some amazing information today, but first, everyone should be aware that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor, and because of that, all the information that you see in this webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. So let's begin. Brad, do you think this makes sense?
Science versus bullshit. Yeah.
I have to say that, one of the things that I think's really made us stand out amongst the vendors in financial technology is that people are kind of starting to see through the sort of the smoke and mirrors that's always put in front of retail investors. Now, Brad and I, we were, before we started Trade Ideas, when Dinosaur, was that the Triassic period when we were doing future trade, Brad?
Not my specialty from time periods. It was a while ago for sure.
Neither Brad or I had gray hair, but we did speak with some of the best hedge fund managers who are managing the most amount of money, and the thing that they told us when we tried to bring them kind of retail-based visual technology, which had a lot of this, is that they said, "What the hell are you guys doing? Nobody really makes decisions like that." Now, of course, we knew that retail traders did, but what we really only later started to understand is that this is bullshit. And the reason for that is that squiggly lines on charts really are completely subjective, and so are the tools that have been provided to the individual and retail investors. It's like they've got us chasing our own tail, and only like now, in the end of 2015, are people sort of waking up. Now, let me again explain a little bit, because obviously I'm comparing this thing to this thing, and how does all of this even relate to Trade Ideas? But you'll see it. The science versus bullshit theme of this presentation really has to do with the fact that our eyes and our brains want us to always see stuff that is neither there nor is relevant. And so when we look at information like this and we see this chart, just by the way, so that I want to see if anybody else sees it. Does anybody else see kind of like a profile of an alligator, like right here? If you do, just say yes on the question and answer. I'm kind of drawing it out, especially with the green cloud in my eyes. You see what I'm talking about, right? There's an alligator there, maybe a dual, yeah, maybe like it also looks like a little horns, a devil horns, and if like you squint, I mean, you can keep seeing more and more things. Why? That's because we're evolutionarily programmed to do that. Now I'm kind of seeing, like, there's a dog right here. If you just take this, and there's a dog, and there's kind of, is this a turtle, maybe, or a buzzard. But my point is very clear. Yeah, snakehead, you got all of that stuff. Guys, this is just squiggly lines that are drawing your attention away from what's actually happening on the chart. If you could get rid of all that crap, you might visually at least get some sense that this is turning, possibly. You know, nobody knows. So the thing is that these imaginary squiggly lines that are always drawn in retrospect are there to keep you away from using simple things that actually work, like physics. And I drew a picture of something here that the Trade Ideas has, which is called a relative efficiency indicator. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as I introduce everybody to what we're really going to present today. We're also going to have an amazing discussion about the functionality that's being worked on right now, and some names where we're all going to be making some serious money. So, without further ado, Brad, can you see my whole screen? I do have a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. How about there? Is that better?
It's good.
Okay. So, for those that are not familiar with Trade Ideas, and again, for those that are, it's okay. Everything that I'm showing you and discussing is always good. It's like we always start out with a quick overview, and that is that Trade Ideas is the investment discovery engine. And what differentiates us from everybody else is really we've been working on this for over a decade, and we keep making it better and better. We're not some startup that just got an idea, raised some capital, and is trying to go to work. We've been working with you guys since 2003, building and creating this technology to be, you know, the pinnacle of what it's supposed to be, and that is help individuals figure out where to allocate capital. What we see today, and I mean, we see investing as completely broken, okay? Because for the most part, everyone's being told a bunch of quote-unquote bullshit, and for the most part, you're being told to give money to somebody else to manage. And I, by the way, am guilty of it too, because I also have a 401k, and I invest my money regularly, and I'm not by any means saying that you shouldn't do it at all, but what I'm saying is this: the more control that you have over your money, the more you understand how it works, and the more opportunity you open up to yourself to be in something that could be incredible. And there's a lot of those things out there, including this VTL trade that, I mean, again, if you were not afraid, fear kills. Just like, you know, fear creates tightness in the golf swing, and I love to use golf analogies because I'm a golfer and Brad's a very good golfer. And we talk about how when you're not fluid, when you're like rigid, and by rigid, think about rigid mentally, when you have constraints like, I don't trade stuff under $20. Or, it's got 500,000 shares daily average. Nope, didn't make it. Like, these things are the things that are killing you, and they've kind of been partly taught to you by the system and partly ingrained over time by other pseudo-experts. So we have to, the challenge of Trade Ideas is to kind of break you of these things that, number one, there's a huge amount of opportunity to make money in stocks. In fact, stock market is the best kind of venture capital that there is in the world, because you can get into a stock like VTL, Vital Therapies, be involved in a company trying to discover, you know, possibly a cure for cancer, and if you're wrong, you can get out instantly. There is no better place to be in the world, not real estate, not precious metals. The stock market has the ability for you to get out, and obviously has the ability for you to play the downside. What if you didn't believe in anything that they were doing? So this is for the people who, again, you know, may not know how to even start thinking about it. I mean, you're here in this webinar because you believe that there's something out there, that there's something interesting that maybe someone's not telling you about. You're certainly not going to hear about it on CNBC. And you're at the right place. There's a huge amount of opportunity for regular individuals to make a relatively large return on their investment if they do the scientific, the smart things that others who are capturing these kind of moves are doing. There's no such thing as a guarantee, but you have to open yourself up to it to put yourself in a position to do it. You know, just do it. So Trade Ideas kind of does a lot of the heavy lifting for you in terms of the data processing. That's really what we do best. And we help you find these incredible opportunities where it's not 10 or notice how you've been taught to think that, oh, 10% is a lot. Not really, not if you're long at 434 and it's at 11 right now looking like it wants to close this gap completely. I mean, for those that have heard me speak and for those that are involved in our community, and we have one that I should mention earlier than later. So Trade Ideas, again, it's like it's not just a software product. We're a community and we're a medium that exchanges these ideas on capturing outputs. What powers us is the Trade Ideas investment discovery engine. But the company itself and what we do, it goes way beyond that because we're really positioning ourselves to change investing for everyone. You know, there's no more of these BS letters and pump and dump schemes. I mean, you are there live watching as things unfold. So we have this community, okay, and you click on that channel, and if you go here during the day, you create a username, it's free, and you tune in to Barry Einerson, who's our head trader and moderator, an incredible gentleman who's really transformed the social aspect of Trade Ideas and built the community. And we hear from people that it's just one of the best places to be to exchange free thinking investing ideas, because it's, again, it's not about day trading, it's not about swing trading. We hate putting people into kind of label corners. It's just about allocating excuse me, it's just about allocating your capital more efficiently than the other guy based on your risk tolerance. Okay, so this community, again, is taking a look at these data points and is constantly exchanging those data points with one another. And of course, you know, there's a method. There's like a routine that most investors use Trade Ideas to do, and I'm just going to kind of like shine on it real quick. So of course, this is our channel bar, and when you download Trade Ideas, what you'll see is that, I mean, there's tons of information on how to get started easily. But the idea is here, we let you kind of peruse or surf interests. But at the same time, we also kind of have a routine where you start with the pre-market, and here you're going to get to see everything that's really setting up. You know, what's gapping up, where should you focus your attention for the things that are exhibiting strength or weakness early, and you can quickly then see, you know, which industries it is, and you can quickly look up the stocks and see all the streaming information. So when the market opens, we quickly jump to social media, because again, this is another thing that also differentiates Trade Ideas from a lot of the other financial technology vendors, is that we're not only giving you data about stock information, in other words, price and volume, but we're factoring in what's called uncharted or unregulated data. Okay, and this data is social activity. Structured or unstructured is what I meant to say. So unstructured activity is activity that's in the Twitter sphere. Using technology, we aggregate it and we show you when there's something unusual that's happening. So you can quickly see sentiment and social activity at the same time. So for example, right away I want to know, number one, who's moving up and having a pretty good amount of activity. And of course, I see, you know, some of these stocks, but I'm also able to color code see. And again, this is, remember, I'm saying this as if I'm saying this as if you don't have to know anything about Trade Ideas. What I'm showing you is that in the names, you can quickly see most discussed and trending up when you open this up. Okay. And by the way, gentlemen, for everyone who's here, Brad and I will be answering questions on the second part of the show. So keep them to a minimum so we can really engage afterwards. But all of these are channels, and Trade Ideas includes charts and all of these analytics. So I just clicked on the social media channel. I was on the pre-market channel. See, and then it comes over here, look at my mouse, and then I went to the social media channel. And what I'm saying here, this is like my routine to show you how I look at opportunity and where I'm going to, my most valuable resource, it isn't even my money, right? It's my attention span, okay? So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to have the software bring ideas that I'm going to be going over without me having to spend too much time digging, okay? So these are, again, the big names that are being mentioned a lot in terms of quantity, but not necessarily relatively, except for CMRX. Notice how it just comes out at you, right? So that's one of the things that Trade Ideas is really good at doing, is spotting out the unusual. Okay? So there's something unusual, and then you can quickly, again, depending on how it is you invest, you can quickly decide if you want to go or not go. You know, so this is what's interesting here, is that, and I think I mentioned this stock on Twitter, because I was discussing the fact that it's looking like it, you know, it wants to play ball. Now think about the potential. So this is along the case. So remember, guys, we talked about not only just showcasing technology, right? But we don't like that there needs to be any gateway between this kind of a presentation and you making money. Keep your eye, if you don't have Trade Ideas, just keep your eye on CMRX. Think about what could happen if this area starts to get filled. Okay, so what you're seeing here, guys, this is the physics versus the bullshit. Okay, so why, we don't know, again, I don't read the news about too many things, but there was clearly an earnings or some terrible event that happened, call it whatever event. It's really irrelevant here because it's been factored in. Okay, but and Brad, feel free to help me there if you want. Not that it's actually that important. But the stock gaps down from 35 to 8. That's a gigantic move. That means that there's a huge amount of pressure and anger and emotion. That this is what's called a potential energy buildup. I mean, you can imagine it. You can think about it again in terms of physics, the potential energy from this gap down. Boom, immense. A lot of people have pain. Okay? And now this potential energy is exhibiting itself again in the form of increased transactions.
Yeah, you know, Dan, my eyes are drawn immediately to the volume bars that are there. And it's just another one of the data points that Trade Ideas does a fantastic job of identifying the unusual. And whether it's social volume, like Dan's showing you here with respect to these windows, or whether it's actual trading volume, that's where Trade Ideas really does shine.
And it's, well, here in this case, I showed it to people, Brad. Thank you for bringing that up. Right. Look at the volume graphs, right? The price is actually, the way we have it drawn, it's engulfed by the volume because the averages are so low. Okay? And so what happens is you want to be involved in things where there's a lot of potential energy, because as investors, we want to allocate our capital in such, you know, if we're going to be, as an investor, I mean, if you're going to invest in Ford, bring a pillow and eye mask, because it's not going anywhere. It's partly not going anywhere because the way it's structured, with billions and billions and billions of shares outstanding, it's going to take billions and billions and billions of shares to get it going. Now, it could have an interesting catalyst, like teaming up with Google, which it did recently, or doing something with Tesla. But the point is, alpha, the things that we are looking for, opportunities. Opportunities are being brought to you by the likes of Trade Ideas and stocks that you aren't going to hear about on CNBC. So this is an example. And again, the stock is, kind of coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, boom. So again, the price is all discounted, exactly, but it doesn't change the situation that there's still this huge potential energy here, because what if, and by the way, anything can happen, what if this whole news was a little bit off? Or somebody, again, it's just right versus wrong, or how you interpret it. What if the analyst who interpreted this misinterpreted something? Or if the case was wrong? So many things can happen, and if we look at, what was the one, Brad?
VTL maybe? I think there were 3 symbols, or 3 letters. I don't think there were 4.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect example, right? So look, this is another one of the this is another example of what we're talking about. And again, the lesson that I'm hoping you guys learned from this whole experience with trade ideas. So this is a huge gap up, right? But we're not even listening to it here. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Okay, something is starting to happen right here, but then a lot of nothing is happening. Now something is starting to happen again, and now it really gets interesting. Why? Okay, well, now the people over here that got out of it again are feeling that they're idiots. And these are very simple things, we talked about the fear and the greed of it. This is where you take advantage of the psychology of supply and demand, which is what we're talking about. This is a visual price pattern, but underneath it is not Bollinger Bands and squiggly lines, is a supply and demand dynamic. And what we're trying to do with our artificial intelligence and our data viewing is to find those imbalances. Now this here, a gap down, is an imbalance in and of itself. But obviously it had imbalanced itself way off to the tune of 300% right here. Look, somebody was a big buyer right here, and they're up 300%. That's what we're trying to do. I want everyone to kind of open their eyes to this. For me, on the Q&A webinar, when you're thinking about, well, what should I be focusing on? Why should I be looking at trade ideas? Is that there's 2 things to alpha. Okay, there's of course being right and making money, but there's putting all the huge data mining resources on finding out, well, how does alpha present itself in general? Because there's things making 52-week highs. Is buying 52-week highs the way to go right now? Well, the answer is no, because if it was, you would be seeing a lot of 52-week high kind of things. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I'm just saying that to allocate your resources effectively, you have to be looking at things like, again, potential energy, which is what we find a lot in gap downs. Now, you don't need them. You don't need gaps, but they're good because they just give you more potential energy. But I'm going to show you other versions of what that looks like. So anyway, so this is our social media channel. And my routine, guys, and again, notice sentiment already baked in. Here's another amazing example of a company that showcases you what the stock market has in store. Here you have news breaking from 775 to 17 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it was there 7 in 7 days. This is what you should be trying to be in. I'm not saying the second. I'm saying look at the gap, the potential energy. Okay, so we apply, again, scientific things to capture alpha and help our customers find the opportunities, not just because something is, some gimmick is working, but because statistically the market is going to be changing over time all the time. And what's working now is not going to be the same thing that's working tomorrow. And our technology is the only one that adapts to that. Okay, so a couple of things. So this is, again, the social media channel, and I bring this on the Q&A webinar because I like to show, by the way, these windows, these are all mine. I'm going to be discussing them on the second part of this to give you some more ideas of just opportunities that are incredible, how we structure the windows, some of that, again, that Q&A power. But then I'm going to talk about the big thing. You know, this is the biggest advancement in investing technology. This is Holly, codenamed Holly Grail. She's our artificial intelligence engine. And what we have designed her to do is trade during the day, but exit at the end of every day. That doesn't mean that you have to. It just means that she does. And so that you can, A, trade completely quantifiably. In other words, see whatever she's bringing up. Like, if these things are the things that she's bringing up, that means that they're the ones that are most statistically viable at this point. Same thing with all these strategies. Oh, sorry, I didn't have a symbol there. So you can follow each one, all, or any combination thereof. And not only do you get to watch Holly trade, and she's really good. I mean, today was basically a nothing day, and it was only because of volatility. She also manages risk really well. She hits stops when you have to hit stops. There's no hesitation. So Brad, I want to kind of use this as a metaphor. There's again, people have a lot of misconceptions about what is AI, how to use it, and if it's so good, why aren't you using it? And you know, why would you ever give it away? And then when people ask those questions, it's clear that, again, not only have they been tainted, but there's a misunderstanding of what, you know, artificial technology does and how it's used, how it's useful. Okay, number one, let's dispel the myth. And I know there's a lot of penny stock millionaire hopefuls possibly out here, but there is no system that works all the time. Okay? There is no such thing as a system that works all the time. Okay, people ask us, they said, well, how does your AI work 10 years ago? And I said, I don't know. We only launched it this year, and it's constantly adapting and changing all the time, and you can't readapt and change from 10 years ago. It's a different type of testing process. So let me explain a little bit about what the AI does. So our software, as you can tell, we connect to all the data, all the stops, everything that you see, and we're crunching numbers behind the scenes. And that's really the big differentiator between us and everybody else. Like, to be able to figure out these custom data points like efficiency or relative volume or percentage or where a stock is in its 30-minute range. We can't just, those data points are not provided to you by the exchanges. You have to make them or you don't have them. And what separates Trade Ideas is we make our own data. So we take in the raw data, we add the social data, and we create metadata from it. Okay? And that's where you get our charts, AI, everything is our own database, our own technologies, our own stack, because nothing exists that does what we need to do. So over the 10 years, we've had to make it. That's our, big, big advantage. So what the software is doing, okay, it's looking at all these data points, and it looks at 35 base strategies. And what Brad and I say is 35 base strategies are like all the football players that want to, try out for the team. They're already great in college, or they maybe played for other teams. Like, to be a pro, you got to be able to catch a ball, do stuff. You can't just come off the street. They won't even let you because you're going to get hurt. So we have 35 of those, and then every evening, like what's happening right now since the market is closed, those 35 players or 35 different strategies that look to buy or sell and find opportunities in different ways are going to compete amongst themselves to be in the market tomorrow, to trade. And we don't know what that's going to be. That's what the AI comes in. The AI picks this based on percentages. So in other words, if I show you the win rate, and Brad, did you say you fixed this already, or?
Yeah, but I have not put it up on the. I haven't uploaded it yet.
Oh, here you go. So this is the historical example, okay, of these strategies made it because this was their 59 is the cutoff. So out of all the 35 strategies, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were able to do it. Okay, and even with those 5, okay, so even with these kind of percentages, so we had 3 trades on this one, power hour long, but only 33% profitable, small losses. Then on nothing on this strategy, 9 trades on the support, is that you, under 20, 33% profitable, and then short, which ended up being the way to go, under 20, 60%, but had one loser that was pretty big. So again, even AI doesn't always, equal perfection. It's just going to be way better than you, and it's going to always be playing in the direction of the odds. So this is how people spend their time. During the day, they're watching these kinds of lists. They channel surf, okay, and then they trade off of the AI. So again, Ari, we're going to answer all of those questions about commission and everything else. So, Brad, did I miss anything?
Well, the only thing that you missed was a little bit of the AI aspect. Yeah, they're going to compete each day and find the strategies that have the best win percentage and profit factor, but it's really the creation of those strategies every single night as well. So that base strategy that we feed into it, our AI engine is looking at that and saying, well, what if the relative volume value should be 1.3? Is that going to affect the type of output for this strategy? And it does that type of thinking for every strategy, and then it competes. So there's that little step right there that I think you missed. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're looking at, and we're looking at really every single filter that exists in trade ideas. And those filters aren't just the type of data points like change from the close and the standard stuff. It's really some of the data points that we create, the special stuff that's unique to trade ideas. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that's going on that there's no way a human could possibly do. And every day it's a new game.
Well, that's the thing that I think is so key to what you're saying, is that people really need to understand that, much like, and again, I use the golf analogy, Brad, because, well, you and I love the game we just played, but, every single golf shot you hit is different than the one before. And just like that, every single day that the market is open, no matter how similar it is to what happened yesterday, is still a different day. So we take all the information that you can take, and then we react to it in a quantifiable way by going in the direction of the best statistics. There is no better scientific approach. It just doesn't guarantee you're going to be, a gazillionaire from trading penny stocks.
Well, and one of the, there are no guarantees like you mentioned. That's another reason why we include a couple more analytical windows in this particular display. Like we've got the S&P chart in the upper right-hand corner. So we're always looking at the market, making sure that, boy, if the market starts to creep down, maybe this is not a good time to keep my long positions. We also include that compare count window, that visual reference of stocks making new highs and new lows and bullish behavior versus bearish behavior. These are all data points that you should be taking in as well as you're making these trades in the marketplace.
Yeah, imagine this. I mean, Brad, I hate to make these kinds of comparisons because they sound corny, but it's like when individual investors are looking at their, typical platform. It's like playing Space Invaders. And what you're looking at here now, although not the same graphic user interface, but the depth of data that you're looking at here is like, Halo, something that's a 3D rendered engine, because again, it's coming to you. These names are coming to you, and let me remember to reemphasize the fact that, why are you not hearing about this on CNBC or even looking at it, in too many other places other than maybe, again, social media? Well, that's because, again, you've been fed a lot of crap about volume, for example, that just isn't true. So people come to us all the time. They subscribe to trade ideas, and then as we train them. And by the way, Brad, we always talk about our training aspect is probably the way we up-ramp our clients is one of the things that separates us from FinViz and TC2000 and trades and everybody else. We do valet on-ramp. Okay, which means that you sign up with Trade Ideas, and we valet you through with our director of education. You get a one-on-one training session where we kind of set up your workplace the way you see it here, so you can instantly gain access. You then get access to Barry. It's a whole complete.
And Dan, one thing I don't think you mentioned, you may have, but you've shown these channels, and you've shown this great workspace where someone can come in and get instant value, but this is also a tool that can be completely customized. So once you've graduated to the level of wanting to or understanding how to modify the strategies and such, you can make this entire application your own and create your own windows, your own strategies.
You know what, Brad? You're right, but let me tell you what. I hate focusing on the nuts and bolts of it, because I actually want to spend more time on the alpha aspects. Talking about some of these
That's
names.
Okay. I just want everybody to know that that's a feasible opportunity.
Oh, totally can. Okay, so let's do this. Let's bring in Scott. A quick introduction to how what the service is. But guys, do not leave, because the second part is where I'm going to blow Brad away with some features that he doesn't even know are coming. Don't hide, Brad.
I'm going under my desk.
And then we're going to talk about which names are going to pay for your subscriptions and just some amazing stuff. So stay tuned. Scott, you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, why don't you pop that on slide 5. We'll talk about how the price schedule is set up for Trade Ideas. So we're a software as a service company, and we operate on a subscription basis primarily. So our core subscription is the $99 per month subscription, and that includes everything except for the AI and the odds maker. It includes your all access to support, your free hour of one-on-one training like Dan mentioned. It lets you backtest the odds maker for a test. It lets you test drive the odds maker for backtesting. You get all your real-time data included and the charting. And then we have a way for you to sign up for an annual recurring payment too, which is only $888. That saves you a considerable amount over the monthly payment. The AI and odds maker license is a one-time fee, and it's $1,100, and that lets you use the odds maker to backtest the entire market, not just a few stocks, a basket of stocks, or whatever you program it for. It's absolutely no programming required. You can optimize your own strategies, or you can access the AI with the odds maker license and utilize the AI strategies. In a little bit later, after Dan shows you the new features, I will come on and let you know how you can sign up for Trade Ideas today and save a considerable amount of money, especially the combination AI and annual combo package that we're still offering probably only through a portion of the first quarter in 2016. So it's a good time to hop onto that now before we go ahead and take that away. I'll go ahead and let Dan do the demonstration of new features, and then I'll come back and let you know how to save money. Dan?
Okay, thank you, Scott. I really appreciate you letting everybody know what's going on. Let me hide this. Okay, so Brad, a couple of things that I wanted to bring out and just discuss really quickly. So, as we said, we're going to give you some reasons to join Trade Ideas now, because we're really pushing the envelope on the technology, and everybody who's signed up already kind of knows this. But even the ones who are here, I'm going to show you something that's going to be pretty game-changing. I've shown it before a little bit under Tools. There's this thing called Limit Alerts, and probably the next beta that we have, most likely this will be in there. Okay, so let me show you kind of how this works. Okay, hopefully it works on my version. I don't know why there's this little circle. Okay, let me try that again. Tools, limit alerts. Okay, here we go. So the idea is that you're looking for opportunities. But sometimes opportunities, I mean, again, you can see this and you can be like, wow, you know, maybe the move's already happened. By the way, I'm going to teach you and tell you that that's just not the case. This GSI is another one of these names that for everybody who's looking for opportunity, you should be in it. It's exhibit, not in it per se. You should be watching it. I mean, I actually already, I believe, have some of it, like right around this area, 25, and I'll probably be adding all to 1. Okay, so I'm giving you my whole game plan. So easy. But I want to talk about why. So we said the potential energy. So hopefully you can already see this. But I want to know some things, and it might not be on some of these lists tomorrow. So one of the things I want to do is I want to know when it hits 195, because move could it really start. And I'm going to save this, and here you can see that I've got an alert for GSI. It's working. If it comes from below, I want to see when it hits 195. That means it's above today's price, still right around it, but I now know 100% that I'm not going to miss this alert. So we have these limit alerts now. We didn't have them before, but the limits really give you the full complement to working with these lists, because the lists change all the time. And again, remember, you don't have to know how to make them. You just have to know how to work with them, although we teach you how to do everything. So again, this is a combination of me showing you the new stuff. Now, what's coming in the limit alerts, that, and why we haven't released them yet, is that you will be able to send these to yourself in an audible alert, like there can be a sound associated to it. You can also send yourself an email or a text, because again, you may be on the phone, you may be, you know, somewhere else, and you might want to be able to put on this trade. If you have phone access to your brokerage, that's a very easy way that you're going to be able to do that. Okay, so the idea here is you go through stocks, okay, and here notice the potential energy of the gap. Okay, so here this thing gap down as it starts to build the base. Look at the alpha that happens from here. Okay, so we're looking for this pattern. We have Holly trying to find this activity. Okay, but there's still, as you look at the zoom out area, you again start to see that, man, there's possibly a bigger picture here. So what's really nice is, again, you can now figure out how to use some of our markup tools to not only, you know, again, give yourself pointers, but you can now like go right click right here. Let's even say like right here. And you can write trend line break from longer term. Now I hit save and my notes so that I know what's going on. So, and again, and you can, you know, you can zoom out and you'll be able to see if it hits it, and if you can switch symbols, you know, quickly come back, make other notes. Okay, so the idea is combining limit alerts with very powerful AI together. And that's what, that way, again, you're never going to be missing something that's coming across either trade ideas just through the windows or through the AI. That's a big thing that's happening. The other thing that right now, Brad, maybe you can comment on this. How are we redoing the money management for the basis so that everybody know that the AI too, we're constantly working to make that better?
Yeah, so in the more recent version of Trade Ideas, we've incorporated some additional functionality in our backtesting tool in the odds maker, and that allows you to exit a position off of one of our filter values, either from a profit target or from a protective stop. And most recently, we've added that functionality right into the AI engine. So these strategies now, starting at the first of the year, are going to start to incorporate some of the smart stop technology that we've been working on for some time, and it's nice to be able to get it all together. So that'll be coming here after the first of the year.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be, well, January I think is going to be the last month of the current crisis that Scott's going to be talking about, because again, we've put in so much to actually make this AI better and better. You know, we talked to a lot of the early users, and everyone's saying, we see that it gets into amazing trades, we're benefiting from it, but can we work on keeping the profits? And, you know, that's exactly what we're going to be doing as well. We want the AI to be better at keeping the profits, however, at the same time, not sacrificed by getting out of everything. So it's not, by the way, that's a very tricky thing to do. You know, very tricky stuff. So let's talk about, again, alpha and where we see it hiding. So this is our Q&A. So I've got a couple of windows here. These are top list windows. For those of you here, I'm going to close some of this so that I can have more space. Okay. So I'm going to show you just again how I'm going to work with some of these windows and help myself. Now, Debbie Clowney had asked a question about, can you add limit alerts, in other words, from these lists? And I was saying, well, yes, but you have to use the charts to do it, because that's where the price is for the alerts get set. So you click on it in the top list, and then you set the price in the chart. Okay, so let's talk about physics, and again, going back to the bullshit versus science. And for this Q&A webinar, we want to talk about the forces that actually make a stock move. So there's basically a couple of basic things, and volume by itself is really not one of them per se, only when combined with a lot of the other stuff. So efficiency. So efficiency is how efficient is every dollar that gets put into the stock at moving that stock higher. The more efficient it is, the more easily it is to have like any dollar push the price higher. So how would that happen? You know, you have to ask yourself, how would a stock be efficient? Well, it probably has a relatively small float. Okay, it's a lot easier for a stock that has a relatively small float, and because again, there's less shares out there, and believe it or not, relatively small dollar volume too, because you want your 100 shares, if whatever is the greater percentage of overall dollar volume your 100 shares is, that's how efficient it's going to be. So it's simple stuff, right? That's why, again, whatever you do, you're invisible to Intel, or even to Tesla, or to Cisco, or IBM, or Ford, or Target. I mean, every stock that you hear about, you are invisible to them. You're invisible to them because they live, I mean, and it's like comparing Jupiter to, to Pluto. Yes, they're both planets, but my goodness, are they completely different in size? And for the proportions, probably, Brad, I'm kind of correct on. So here we have one, okay, a stock called MMAC. Okay. Now, look at the dollar volume that's gone into it today. Only $100,000. That's almost nothing. That means almost all of this action was on the buy side, that someone was buying it. Okay? And again, this means that this money was incredibly efficient. It didn't take much for this stock to go up. So if you were aware of this move earlier today, you could have benefited pretty significantly. Because you could have easily put your 200 or 300 or 500 or 600 shares in the morning. And by the way, even if you had missed it and caught the gap, you still could have done okay all the way to the top. And that's where alpha is hiding, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, alpha is this thing, like how do you make money while the market's losing money? You are the venture capitalist, okay? You're not a day trader. I don't even know what that means. You can't trade days. You can only live in days. And to be having a good life in a day, you need to allocate your attention and your capital better than everyone else. And our technology is the best platform to help you allocate your capital by quantifying things that you need to know about, like efficiency, percentage of float that's being traded. So obviously, look at this, okay? Potential energy is starting to get stored up here in OHGI. Okay, so how do I know this? Well, it was doing it here too, more on the downside though, although, very big range. So something was happening. Some news or somebody, I would call this the time of the insider information. Whatever it is that's happening here, there's maybe even sort of a fight about it, possibly. But it doesn't matter because the float, when you're trading at 7 million shares, you're trading 42% of the float. Okay, so the float's 15 million or so, or just a little over 14 million. Huge move, closed lower, but this is again where you want to say here's how you work with the system. Right click, create an alert for it going above. And you can say, notice how you can just also use like nice off-market thought process to know exactly what you're thinking. Potential energy explosion. Okay. Now here, for the ones who are really watching the cool stuff, I can also say so I want to see this if it goes to 142, right? But I don't really want to see it, not if it goes below 120. Or I could even say, okay, maybe not 119. So I'm going to put an invalid price of 1.19. This means it's gone too low. There's all over the place. Save, and here again, now you can see it. And there's an invalid price as well. Okay. So, the idea here is not to get overwhelmed, but rather to explore with ease. Do not be afraid that you have to know what these efficiency numbers mean. I believe there's a thing that says higher, better. This is not rocket science. The rocket science is hiding underneath this. This is Halo. This is your 3D rendered market opportunity finding engine, and you are the soldier running around trying to find it. But again, that's all metaphor. It can go as slow as you like or as fast as you like. So let's look at some more opportunities. Debbie, thank you. We know you appreciate the good stuff, and when people see that, they know that thought goes into it, and not just thought like to get features out because we think there's enough of that, but thought about how do you really make a tool better for everybody, more efficient. So again, some things that are really on the radar right now. AKTX. Okay, look at this. Possibly potential for break to this area. This is big resistance, so you kind of need to be looking out for it right now. I'm definitely going to set my alert right here. Flatline break. Whoops. So that's my flatline break, but I'm going to go in, and again, I'm just trying to show you, man, there's so much going on when you look at the big picture, so I really want to see when it breaks tomorrow's high. So right there, I'm going to call that break high buy. So by the way, see, I have multiple alerts in the same stock. Why? Because two different things could apply. So Brad, why don't we start answering questions? Again, that we get so excited. I can go forever here. There's so many more lists I can show people too that we've just been developing, all from Holly. Holly's must-watch list with revenues, the short squeeze lists, and of course, one of my favorites, the hidden gems. These are all ways that we want to help our customers, again, capture more alpha than anyone else. These are the names that have the potential, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want them, if you are a Trade Idea subscriber, you know that all you have to do is ask us and we will give you these lists. If you are not, this is reason enough. If you want to be where the potential is, it's right here. I mean, I don't need to brag about it. We show it to you. This is again, you can ask yourself, how come I was not hearing about this on CNBC? Or if I was, why didn't I hear enough? I mean, look at this 5-minute graph. So, okay. Brad, let's answer questions, and then we'll let everyone get back to their holidays.
You bet. I think we're pretty caught up, with the exception of Jan, who just asked if we have a way to essentially dock all the windows as opposed to having it free floating. And Jan, right now there's not.
But we are. That's definitely on the to-do list. We're building containers, everyone, so you can have multiple channels on at the same time. So that's definitely happening. Again, it's just Alexander, no, we do not work on the Swedish markets. We would love to partner up with somebody in Europe, somebody who already has market share with an existing client base that they want to make more active. So it would have to be like a big Swedish brokerage of some kind, or a large educator who already had a customer base. And then anything can be done. Brad, do we have anything else?
No, so far we're caught up. So if you have any other questions, folks, go ahead and fire them off right now.
Okay, and I'm going to, again, just a couple more names for everybody to pay attention to. So again, you can see, again, this is the trend change lubricant. I mean, the name is there for a reason, because the trend is lubing itself up to change. Look at this. This is another example. CDZI is setting itself up to go. This is what we want you to pay attention to. This is where the money-making opportunities are names like this. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook, not on GoPro. Not that they're not stocks you can trade. I mean, you can do it. But that's just not where the path of least resistance is. There, you're fighting with every other hedge fund. Here, you're not.
Well, you know what, Dan? There was one other question. I think a gentleman asked how to open up two charts side by side. And I guess that is not part of a channel. And maybe you can show them how to do that up on a toolbar.
So you can go to Tools. Well, I'm going to go to New. And I'm going to open a new chart. Here's one. Okay. And you can grab it by any of its, you can size it however you want. So I have this chart, and we have a nice feature where you can right-click, select duplicate, and the chart will duplicate. Just so that if you have something set up, you can just recreate it. And you just link them side by side.
Go ahead and change the time frame on the first one.
Huh?
Go ahead and change the time frame on
this one, and you can make it, let's say, a 15-minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
And now there's your 15-minute, and they can also link to all of your windows, or you can unlink them if you want. Okay, the options channel, sure. Great channel. Tons of awesome information on the options channel. So for those of you that that understand options trading, options is a way that people bet on what's going to happen to the stock market. It's basically a way to add leverage without, if you're very certain of what's going to happen, you use options to kind of, again, accent your bets. So in this case, what we show people is where is the unusual options activity happening and how is it dispersed throughout. So here we have a list of windows. So this one is the unusual options volume. So here we're looking for something that, again, because all the standard options trading, high volume options things, they're all right here. And they're always all the same. S&P, Apple, Russell, EEM, QQ. I mean, this list never changes, and it's what everybody talks about. Netflix. I mean, everyone's basically betting on this in the same, on the same blackjack table or craps table. But here, this is where unusual information is happening. Okay, so look, you have ESIO. It's had incredible volume, and the put call. Well, it's blank. That means that they're all calls. So again, only 255 contracts, but needless to say, someone thinks that it's going higher, and it has been. And that's and now you get an idea of maybe speculating both on the options and the stock side. So here again, now for those of you that understand how options work, think about this: SMTC, Semtech, okay. It's got 50 times, sorry, Brad, right? Correct my percent. It's 50 times its normal options trading volume. Right,
well, it's 5,000%, right? So that would be, 50 times.
Yes, 50 times. And the options volume today is 8,800 contracts, but the put call is 0. So, Brad, what does that tell you when the put call is 0? Please, Brad, don't fail this question.
When the put call is 0, that's not a division by 0.
No. When the put call is 0, it is not a circular supply and demand curve. What it tells you is there are no puts.
There are no puts.
Mm-hmm. If it's 1, they're equal. So that's one of the reasons why we have it in green too. So again, you get this like you get this different feel and different names. And that's what I always like, names of things. So obviously, Brad, 0 and the small fractions are all bullish. And then when you get to numbers that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but without any decimals, those are all bearish because it's all puts. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
I appreciate that.
I know you don't. Okay. Here's another one.
Here we have there is another question that came in here. It seemed kind of let me find it here. Okay, so Jan's asking what happens if she changes something on the channel.
Okay, so if you change something on the channel and you go away, that change will not stay. So if I come back to my options, I see it the way I've seen it before. the reason that is because every channel has already been custom designed a certain way to do certain things. Like in this case, this window shows you stocks where that has the most unusual volume. Okay, and this one has the largest increase in stock volume with options data. So here we're tracking the stock volume, but also combining it with options data together to kind of have a blended list, although I don't know why 0 is here, Brad, but I know I'm on the demo server always, so it doesn't matter. Here you have all the players that you know about. So you can tell, like, this is like, if you're just interested in what everyone else is doing, this is what everyone else is doing. The fast and the not furious movers. You know, these are all the companies you hear about. Right here is your top 10 CNBC list. Okay. So, and of course here you can see, well, which way are different people betting and how. So in terms of the highest put bet, it's on Weight Watchers, but it's also coupled with a huge call bet, so you can't do anything with that analysis. And the same thing here. Just because it has a lot of put volume doesn't mean there's a commensurate call volume. Here, in ADPT, though, you have a lot of puts and almost no calls. So this, right away, you know, you want to see, well, what's going on? Now, this thing has been declining. A lot of puts, so maybe someone still thinks there's some bad news coming. And it's obviously, you know, been
did I miss it, Dan? Did you show Jan how to save to the cloud? Maybe you could like show her how to take this whole layout that you have and save it to your own personal channel, if you will.
Okay, so I can do a couple of things. So here, did I change anything, or are we just doing it in?
Yeah, well, include your you know, your pinned windows over on the right.
Okay,
as your,
yeah,
as your
okay. So I've got all these windows. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say File, Save or Share to Cloud. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just for having everything clear, I'm going to clear my previous layout, whatever it was. I'm going to save the entire layout. And I'm going to say QA webinar layout from Dan. You can have this.
Okay, now please, we're going to fix it before we send it to anybody and unpin all those windows. But
yeah.
Yes. Okay. But go
Okay.
ahead.
So I click on Save and Share, and then this code I can then copy it and send it to anybody, either Trade Ideas or myself, or saved. Well, it's already saved in the cloud, so I can access it, and then this layout will always be there.
Yeah. So go ahead and like move over to a pre-market channel, for instance. And again, you have some pinned windows, so it's going to be a little bit different. But go to the My Cloud now, and the real easy way to open up your own personal channel is just go to the My Cloud option on the channel bar, and it's going to be the very last one that you saved, right up at the top.
And then I can say Load, and now I've got all those windows, and see, and they're exactly the way, because they were pinned.
All right.
So,
thanks, Dan.
So yeah, so that's how all of that works. So that the cloud feature is really helpful again, and that allows you to get stuff on the web and everything else. So guys, okay, there's questions about like beginners and things like that. The whole thing is designed to go right off the bat. You don't need to know how to do anything to immediately get value, because number one, all the channels are already pre-configured for optimum use, and number two, you will be set up from Jamie Hodge with your first experience, so it's valet, like we said. There's tons of web-based information. We have a web-based channel on YouTube that literally shows you anything and everything. You have daily videos from Barry's community room where where Barry shows how he utilized the technology. So we have, again, a complete financial media platform that supports this application. Okay, we're basically done. Scott, let's go to the final part.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, something we'd like to do for everyone for showing up is thank you for joining us at the webinar with the product code to save some money. You can also actually download the same page that you're seeing right now on your screen by going to the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface. There's a PDF there that you can download, and it also includes this information that you see in front of you. So that code, the QAWEB30, lets you save over half off your first month, over a quarter off your first year, and over 30% off your lifetime AI oddsmaker license. So you can get the lifetime AI license for just $737 instead of $1,100. You can get the whole year for just $657 instead of $888. Or just give us a try for the first month before you decide to change over to the yearly for just $47 for your first month. You need to use that code before the end of business on Friday, January 1st. And no, Mike, there's no trade of the week tonight. That resumes next week. So again, you use that code QAWEB30, and the letters are all capital, and it lets you save a lot. And now the next slide that Dan wants to show you is really kind of the cream of the crop right here. This is excellent for those of you that are already using trade ideas and understand the value, or those of you who really want to get in and save some money before we drop this package. So what this does is saves you $700 immediately. It lets you get the full year of trade ideas and the lifetime oddsmaker license for just $1288. Big savings. We're doing this because the AI is still in beta. Once the AI goes into regular release, this package just goes away. So the way to get it is either to download the PDF and click on that bit.ly link, or just type it into your browser right now. Type in bit.ly/SAVE700, and it is case sensitive, so it is capital SAVE 700, and it's easy to remember because it saves you $700. So just go ahead and do that. If you're already a subscriber on a monthly basis, upgrade to this and then shoot us an email to info@tradeideas.com, just letting us know you did the upgrade so we can double check your account. Again, thank you all for joining us. You'll receive an email tomorrow about this time with a reminder of how to get these packages. You can
Scott, I also want to say thanks for the holiday to come out. It's very special for us, and I just want to make sure everyone knows how much we appreciate it. I want everyone to have an amazing new year. We're so excited for 2016, and we just want to say thank you, and we look forward to helping you do much better in the market than you've ever done before. So we hope you take advantage of these opportunities, and we hope to see you in 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting in on this right now is the best way to get a head start on 2016. Just you get it now, and then on Monday, just start kicking ass. You can follow Dan on Twitter at TradeIdeas1. He's kind of amusing to follow there. You're also going to want to follow us on Facebook at Facebook/TradeIdeasPro, because we do occasionally post some things to Facebook we don't share elsewhere. You can email us directly at info@tradeideas.com. Contact Dan directly, dan@tradeideas.com, or give us a call if you need help. We usually have someone on the phones during normal operating business hours, San Diego time. Again, thanks everyone. And we will... Oh, you can also follow the corporate @TradeIdeas account. You see it on your screen there too. Thanks everyone. Thanks Dan. Thanks Brad. Have a fantastic new year, everybody. We'll resume our normal webinar schedule next week, where we have the Monday webinar, the office hours webinar is Monday afternoon with Jamie Hodge, our QA webinar, which you're just in, on Wednesdays, and then the later webinar on Wednesdays. Every other Wednesday is the Trade of the Week webinar. If you're not signed up for Trade of the Week list, just go to our website, find the pop-up, and do that. We also have the Thursday educational webinar, Jamie's Trading Room. That's also on Thursday afternoons. As long as we have your email address, you'll get invited to all of these. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.